Assalamu alaikum, my sister. So this is probably the biggest sign that the Dajjal forces cannot stand each other. Before I mention you the biggest sign, this biggest sign is so important for all of us here to read and understand, because there are multiple hadiths that talks about this one particular sign. But before I share the hadith, I have actually 3 of them to use as a quotation in this talk, inshallah. But before I do that, I want you to understand this thing. The biggest sign that the Dajjalic forces, they cannot tolerate each other, is if you take a look what is happening between Iran and Israel. Now you can say easily that, look brother, Iran, Israel, it's a geopolitical matter. Okay, there is nothing more than that. They are not at each other's neck because of money, because of power, because of whatever else it is. You can say this is a politic that they're playing out and they want to have superiority over other. That's how you can say it, and you'll be right. People who are saying that, well, these 2 countries are both are from Middle Eastern country, and that if one country has nuclear weapon, the other country should not have, just in case there is a conflict, then you will be right. Okay, that will be absolutely 100% correct, that this can be purely a political matter. But as believers, as Muslims, we cannot just think of it as a political matter only. We have to think beyond, because we have the hadith, because we have the prophecy, so we have to dig deep. In other words, this is the main purpose of this video, is to take your focus to the hadith, to the prophecy of end of time, from the politics that are being played out in that region between, especially between Iran and Israel. So before I mention you, this is the biggest sign. We already know, dear brothers and sisters, in the past they had confrontation several times between Iran and Israel. Then came Obama. Iran agreed in 2015 to go with a negotiation, and they actually exported 97% of the uranium out of the country. Back in the time of Donald Trump, when he came into power, he threw it away. There's garbage, the deal, the Iran deal. He said this is the worst deal possible. And now Joe Biden, he is trying to revive the deal, but there is no way he can do it. In other words, Iran, because of this going back and forth, Iran has decided to actually now have nuclear weapon, regardless, almost regardless what it is. Even though yesterday, I believe, they actually sat on the negotiating table and they were able to avert, IAEA, they were able to come to a agreement with Iran that they will not have nuclear weapon. But I don't think this will last for too long. This will go back again where it was, which is that Iran will always, as usual, they will want to have a nuclear weapon. What happened is, now Iran have reached to a point where they can produce 1 nuclear weapon in a matter of month. Okay, in just 1 month they can have 1 nuclear weapon. In 3 months they can have 2, and 5 months they can have 3. I spoke about this in my other channel where I talk about international politics, world news. You can go and check that channel out, because I talk about politics there only. Okay, no end of time. This channel, I talk about end of time, the Mahdi Dajjal. As I said, I want you to take your attention and focus to something else, which is end of time. Iran is now saying we will have nuclear weapon. Israel is saying you cannot have it. If you have it, we are ready. In fact, Israel's, the army general, his name is Al-Khabi or something, I forgot the name. He said, we have budget allocated just for the purpose of conflict with Iran. Can you believe it? Like, they have money saved up only to deal with Iran. This is a big thing. Iran said, we will not care, whatever you have to say it, whatever you want to do it. And then people are saying, oh, this is politics and nothing will happen, nothing. But the question will always remain, why it is between Iran and Israel? What is wrong with these 2 countries? Like, why they don't get along? Is there something else? Is there a power, let's call it the Dajjalic system, that is behind it? Is it because the Dajjal, he doesn't want 2 parties to wait and welcome him when both of them have contradictory belief? So for example, Iran, they believe that their Mahdi will come. His name is Muhammad ibn al-Hassan al-Askari. In fact, they said, they claim that this is their final Imam. Okay, the Shia belief. He was born in Samarra in 255 Hijrah or 869 AD, and he is still alive, but in a state of suspension or occultation. It basically means he is ghaib, he is in ghaib. Okay, we do not know where he is, the Shia people. For them, this is the Mahdi. Okay, this is the Mahdi, Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Askari. He is the Mahdi for who? Iran. We believe this is not the Mahdi, because we Sunni, we claim and we believe that our religion, we follow the tradition of Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, and we do not curse any companions of the Prophet like the Shia do. We believe that Iran's belief is null and void because they have rejected, a lot of them actually have rejected the Quran. They said, well, Quran is not written, or it was not sent down to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the form it is right now. In fact, they said there were a lot of other verses that were being excluded from the Quran. So this is a kufr. Okay, this can consider to be a kufr. We will not talk about the fiqh thing in this channel. Let's avoid that. But the point here is that their belief about the Mahdi is null and void for the Sunni. We do not believe that will be the case. Nevertheless, they are eagerly waiting for someone to come and kind of like rescue them or bring back the glory of Islam to them. And they're very, very eager. The key word is eager. The Yahudi, exact same thing. They are eager to receive their Masih. They can't wait. I mentioned, if you did not watch my other videos, you can go and check the videos. When I mentioned the Yahudi, they are going to Masjid al-Aqsa to pray. Believe it or not. They are violating international law, especially the agreement between Jordan and Israel had, the waqt, where you cannot enter if you're Jew to Masjid al-Aqsa. But now they're doing it. Why? Because they're waiting for the Masih, and they want to build a temple in that place, okay, where Masjid al-Aqsa is. By the way, if you do not know Masjid al-Aqsa and all the, Masjid al-Aqsa is on the top floor, and the temple of Sulaiman is downstairs. That's what I believe is the case. Anyways, the point here is that both Shia and the Yahudi, they are waiting for someone eagerly. They can't wait. Both of them are preparing for it. In fact, a lot of you from my audience, they come from Shia background, and I actually had another channel which got deleted. I had actually several of Shia people coming and talking to me about the Mahdi. In other words, the Sunni, we don't really care as much. Wallahi. Even though we should, but most of the Sunni people, we don't talk about it. This is why you do not see khutbah in masjid about the Mahdi. This is why you do not see any talk about the Mahdi. Okay, it's very rare. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Very rare. But for Shia and for the Yahudi, the Masih, the Imam Mahdi is a big thing, and none of them can wait any longer. Okay, they are just desperate. So the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that La yabuka yanna dinani bi ardil Arab. Rasulullah said that no two religion can coexist or should coexist in the land of the Arab. Means either is Islam or else. Islam and Mushrikun cannot coexist. This is the same concept if we apply when it comes to the Dajjal. It is subjective, but I'm going to apply it because Dajjal, his way of dealing with things, the way he works, is that it is either my way or highway, right? My way is the highway. I think that's how we say it. My way is the highway. You accept me as your God, or else I'm gonna, khatam, punish you. So Dajjal, and we know, let's agree to this, all ulama did in our time, they agree we're living in the time of Dajjal. The Dajjalic system is that which is running the world. All the fasad, fitna, everything that Muslims are being afflicted with right now as I speak to you, it has something to do with the Dajjalic system. If you say, no, this is not true, then you are actually denying the hadith where the Prophet said the biggest fitna since the creation of Adam is Dajjal. If you and I do not feel that fitna and we are not living in that fitna, then when we will leave? And why the Prophet said he's the biggest fitna? What's the point of saying that? So we are living in the Dajjalic system as I speak to you. Dajjal will not tolerate both Iran waiting for Mahdi and Yahudi waiting for the Messiah to have dominance, to have contradictory. Because at the end of the day, what I personally believe, again subjective, is that Iran, the Shia, will fall trap to the Dajjal. Okay, they will fall in the trap of the Dajjal. Why? Because the Dajjal will come from where? Inna Dajjala yakhruju min ardi bil mashriq yuqala lahu Khurasan. The Prophet said, the Dajjal will come on earth from east, a place called Khurasan. He is now looking at Iran and Israel and saying, this guy, the Shia, they don't really follow me. Yahudi, they are close to me, because Yahudi they will accept me, and Shia will create problem in the beginning. Because Shia, their belief is not something like the Yahudi belief. They are very, very different. So Dajjal is looking at, I mean, I'm giving you, a picture that can be possible. So Dajjal has to either have Yahudi dominating Iran, because we also know that Yattabau Dajjala min Yahudi, from the place of the Dajjal will be followed, Yattabau Dajjal, he will be followed by the Yahudi, Sab'una alfa alayhim at-Taylisatu. Okay, 70,000 Jews will give him bayah and will follow him. So Dajjal is looking at Iran and Israel, and he's picking, because he has to pick. He cannot have both of them, because that will be contradicting, and Shia will create problem in the beginning. So this is my understanding. Again, it is very subjective. So he's thinking, well, his plan is that we need to get rid of Iran. We need to have Yahudi having upper hand in Iran. That way, when I appear, everything is ready. Those 70,000 Yahudi, they can give me bayah right away, and they will follow me without asking question. But if I go, and when the Shia is still there, then these people will create problem. Yes, eventually they will follow me, because Shia, we Sunni believe, they are misguided. Okay, when it comes to Aqidah, most of the Shia people, we believe, okay, if you're a Shia, don't freak out. We Sunni believe, this is our belief, that you guys are messed up. So they will eventually go with Dajjal, but in the beginning they will create problem. They will be like, oh, where is our Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Askari? We are waiting for that guy. We're not waiting for this Dajjal. What is going on, So Dajjal wouldn't want that. He wants the Yahudi to be in Iran, so that when he is there, he will be followed immediately. He would not have time to waste. He's going to be on earth, how many days? 40 days. Dear my sisters, this is perhaps one of the biggest reasons why Israel is at Iran's neck, for apparently no reason. Iran is no match for the Yahudi. Mark my word. Israel has so much weapon, and they're so advanced in terms of technology, money, you name it. Israel right now, they even don't care about US. They don't care about China, Russia. They're so confident, and they're so, sometimes I should say they're arrogant too. They don't care about who is thinking about them what. They don't care about Putin or Chinese prime minister, whatever president. So he will do this, that we need to get rid of Shia and have the Yahudi go to Iran. Dear my sisters, there is this thing that I want all of you to consider, which is that because we are coming to the end of time, and we are living at the end of time, these conflicts are something very, very possible, very, very normal. But wallahi, if things go really bad, and if Iran does, have a confrontation with Israel, it will be a disaster. But nevertheless, because as I said, no two party of Dajjal who are contradicting in their belief can coexist, like Islam cannot coexist in the Arab land that I quoted the hadith from, they will eventually, unfortunately, have fight, okay, between Israel and Iran, and one of them has to go. One of them has to go. And in this case, obviously, it will be the Iranians. So my point here is that at one point, you may not even know Iran existed. Okay, it can go that bad. And with the recent initiatives by the Iranians to build to this nuclear weapon is making Israel very edgy. They do not like it. They are teaming up with other nations. They're rallying the whole world behind them to do something about Iran. And whether, even if Iran avoided a confrontation with Israel at the moment, there is no guarantee they will do so in the future, especially now that they know how to make this nuclear weapon. They will probably not bow down to the point where they will humiliate themselves. Allahu alam, but subhanallah, something very, very interesting that I want to share with you. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. I have a few comments here. MNH, wa alaikum assalam, brother. Jamal, right, brother Jamal, wa alaikum assalam, brother Jamal. I have Daniel, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, brother. Wahida Aziz, Jamal, right. I have Luxury Ninja, MNH, Anifa, Hussein. Iran create more problems. Yes, so many things are happening. Brothers and sisters, I really appreciate your comment. Please leave a comment in the comment section below if you have any. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We'll make inshallah a lot of videos about the end of time, as we always do. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.